Hello, I am Alistair Febin Wahab. My student ID is 2023 368 307 and my class is 82204B. The topic that I have chosen is the quest for sustainable rice, with the title being Harvesting Hope, the quest for sustainable rice, ensuring rice supply security for future generations. Before all things, let us consider the condition of rice supply in Malaysia. In Malaysia, the rice supply is influenced by a combination of domestic production and imports. Despite efforts to achieve self-sufficiency, the country faces constraints such as limited arable land, water security, and low productivity. As a result, Malaysia relies on imports to meet a significant portion of its rice consumption needs. Fluctuations in global rice prices, climate change related challenges, land use changes, and policy interventions impact the dynamics of the rice supply chain in the country. Sustainable farming practices, research and innovation, policy reforms, and infrastructure development are essential for ensuring a stable and resilient rice supply in Malaysia. As we all know it, rice is a very important part of our diet, since it is the staple food. Let us talk about the current population trends and their impact on rice demand. With the increasing population in Malaysia, changing consumption patterns, pressure on agricultural resources, and impacts of rice imports, Malaysia is now facing multifaceted challenges in sustainable rice supply. In the next slide, we will talk about the factors, the consequences, and solutions towards this problem of rice supply in Malaysia. I will begin right after this. As we all know it, Malaysia's staple food is rice. So the importance of rice supply in the Malaysian economy is immense, since people need to eat. To work, they need energy. Therefore, rice provides energy. So now let's talk about the factors of rice supply problems. One of the many problems that are plaguing our current rice supply in the economy of Malaysia is, first, is limited arable land. Malaysia's land availability for rice cultivation is constrained by urbanization, industrialization. This means the land use in Malaysia is more geared towards the development of land for industries and for housing, as well as for towns and cities. This means that the available land to plant paddy is limited. Therefore, this also contributes to the lack of rice supply in Malaysia, therefore causing us to import more food. Then we have the climate change. Erratic weather patterns, droughts, floods, and rising temperatures affect rice yields and production. As you all know it, currently the climate change situation in both Malaysia and the whole world has been quite devastating towards the production of rice in rice producing countries. Therefore, the question of climate change still remains and still is one of the many various factors that can affect our rice production. And then is our dependency on imports. Despite efforts to increase domestic production, Malaysia relies on rice imports to meet consumption needs. As we all know it, we import rice from Thailand, most of them, majority of them. So it makes sense that we are currently in a trade deficit instead of a trade surplus when it comes to rice, since we cannot produce enough rice to support our own population. Therefore, our dependency on imports can be quite devastating on our economy and our rice supply. With all the factors considered, what are the consequences of the rice supply problems? Let us first talk about it. The reliance on import leaves Malaysia vulnerable to fluctuations in global rice prices and supply disruptions. Other than that, fluctuating rice prices and import dependency impact the country's economic stability. This can be seen when the rice prices are increasing currently. Since we cannot, again, as I said before, we cannot produce our own rice to meet our own needs. Therefore, when we import rice, it is highly likely that we will import it at a higher price than it is supposed to be. Therefore, this can cause a trade deficit in our economy. Therefore, we cannot let this problem to be continuing in our country. As well as the third consequence is the land use changes and unsustainable farming practices contribute to environmental degradation. As we all know it, the rice production in Malaysia is not I'm not saying we're the worst, but we are quite lagging behind when compared to our neighbors Thailand and Vietnam when it comes to rice production technology. Therefore, we are very much doing rice farming unsustainably. Therefore, by this unsustainable practice, we are degrading our environmental conditions in our country. In order to solve the problems of the rice supply in Malaysia and the overall economy, there are a few steps that are taken by the government of Malaysia. One of the many steps in solving this problem is the investment in research and innovation. We should allocate funding for agricultural research institutions to develop high-yielding and climate-resistant rice varieties tailored to local conditions, which means that we must research how to make rice properly growing in bad weather conditions, or rice that can yield a lot of outputs. And then we should also support research on soil health, crop rotation, and agroforestry systems to enhance the sustainability of rice cultivation. This means that we should always support the research on how to improve our soil health, how to make non-arable land arable, and to promote better crop rotation systems and agroforestry by making our rice more sustainable and useful for our own rice production. Now we come to the government, which says to improve policy reforms and support mechanisms. Implement policies that incentivize sustainable rice production, including subsidies for eco-friendly inputs, land use planning regulations to protect agricultural land, and market support mechanisms to stabilize prices. Eco-friendly inputs may include organic systems and better, even going to the point of maybe using hydroponic rice in the future to support our rice production. Land use planning regulation is to differentiate between urban use, residential, industrial use land, different from agricultural use land. This means that we can allocate land that is arable and fertile for our rice production. And then the government should strengthen enforcement of environmental regulations and sustainability standards in the agricultural sector. This entails being better at implementing laws and policies and being more strict when it comes to environmental policies. We also need to improve our infrastructure. Improving rural infrastructure such as roads, quite important, irrigation systems, and post-harvest facilities to enhance the efficiency and resilience of the rice supply chain. We should invest in storage facilities and cold chain infrastructure to reduce post-harvest losses and ensure food security, especially when it comes to roads and irrigation systems, since plants need water and harvested yields need roads that are good to send the products to the factories. Therefore, by improving roads and irrigation systems, we can be better in rice production. As the search goes on in the solution, first we have to also remember that we should build more capacity and knowledge transfer. This entails providing training programs, workshops, and educational resources on sustainable rice production practices, agroecology, and climate-smart agriculture. This can be used by using smart agriculture, such as using precision agriculture, drones, or any technology that is very good for rice production. We should also foster partnerships between research institutions, government agencies, NGOs, and the private sector to facilitate knowledge sharing and technology transfer. We should also promote community engagement and empowerment, empowering local communities, including indigenous peoples and rural women, in decision-making processes related to rice production and natural resource management. Since the profile of rice farmers are mainly built up of older people, we should encourage more young people to be more actively involved in rice production, since the aging population will not be here very long. Also, by including women into the workforce for rice production, we can potentially increase the rice production in Malaysia, as well as promoting participatory approaches such as community-based natural resource management and farmer-led research initiatives, meaning we give more power to the farmer in order to lead research, to provide valuable insights into what goes on field, as what happens in the lab is not the same as on field. Therefore, by having farmers to lead research initiatives, we can make better rice and more of them. And then we have promotion of sustainable farming practices. Simply enough, encourage the adoption of climate resilient and environmentally friendly farming techniques, such as organic farming, integrated pest management (IPM), and water efficient irrigation methods. We can also again provide training, extension services, and financial incentives to farmers to facilitate the transition to sustainable practices. Now, as we know it, rice is important. And as the last grains of rice are harvested, a new chapter begins. Malaysia stand as a beacon of inspiration, leading the way towards a future of food security and sustainability in rice production. Where hope meets determination, the seeds of sustainability shall be sown. Through collective effort and unwavering commitment, the quest for sustainable rice has blossomed into a beacon of promise for future generations. Therefore, we should work harder, smarter, and better to produce our rice sustainably for ourselves, for our own consumption, and, God willing, we can induce a trade surplus where we can sell more of the rice than what we consume. Together, we sow the seeds of sustainability for a bountiful tomorrow to ensure a future where agriculture thrives in harmony with nature.